That's what I fought for. We fought for those freedoms. Those are there. That's what we fought for. But they must be exercised with discipline. I am now dialoguing with you. But if you start stepping on me, then the dialogue will be spoiled. And why do you have to step on me? Why don't you regulate your behavior? I regulate mine. Maybe there's a neutral regulator who regulates us, like the police, like the Electoral Commission, like the courts. Why don't you respect those regulators?
All the three regulators you've mentioned, Mr. President, the police, the judiciary, and the Electoral Commission, your critics feel they are 100% in your hands. They are not exactly free to play umpires. Oh,
that must be new information now, because the only body which we disbanded when we won the civil war was the army. All the other institutions, we inherited them. The civil service, even this police.
Talking of the foundation you spoke about, Mr. President, and the institutions that you do mention, we do remember you had beginnings by fighting a liberation war, and if we could actually look at some of the pictures as we talk. When you were young and leading the NRA, and it would have been expected that after many years, 25, we would see the depoliticization of the army. Because what we see and what we witnessed during the election itself was the continued politicization of the army. The army continues to play a very big role in Ugandan politics. When is this going to end?
What did they do in the politics?
They're very visible. They are in polling stations. They are almost a very active player.
No, they are not in the polling stations. The polling stations are manned by one constable, each polling station. The army only is in the zone, not on the polling station, but in the area. For instance, in I think here in Kenya you call them localities or something like that, as a backup in case there is somebody tries to cause trouble, to back up the police. That's the only role of the army. But otherwise, the election itself, it is the police constable. It is in the law.
There are still parliamentary seats reserved for the army?
Yes, the seats are, there is no harm, because the army was responsible for the liberation of the people of Uganda. All this development we have had was because of the work done by the army that time to chase away these killers. And there's no harm in having 10 seats out of 340, I think. Such a huge number. But the army is there, and they engage in discussion when there are national issues of great importance. Otherwise, they just keep quiet and watch what's happening.
We would like to hear, Mr. President, your own broad assessment of the state of democracy in Uganda, considering that you came from the single-party system, the movement system, now to a democracy. Where is Uganda at right now?
Uganda may be, I suspect, may be the most democratic country in the world, because we have 238 directly elected seats, which are competed for on merit by parties. We have got 112 special seats for women, which are competed for by the women, but voted for by everybody. We have got 5 seats for the disabled people who vote among themselves. We have got 5 seats for the youth, and we have got 5 seats for workers. I have not had many systems in the world which take into account those interest groups.
Was it a positive
So if I was to give a lecture on democracy, I think I would have good credentials to do so.
Was it a positive, Mr. President, that the presidential term limits were removed?
Yes, we removed the presidential term limits because the problem of Africa is not term limits. Come in and get out so that I sit on the chair. The problem of Africa are the fundamentals, which I was talking about this morning. Electricity, roads, education. These are the big challenges. Integration, making the African countries come together so to have got viable and economic units. These are the fundamental issues. Now, if the people are voting and they want to vote in this one or vote out that one, that's their choice. And that is the benchmark. That is the lowest common multiple to determine whether a system is democratic or not. About these term limits, that's according to individual countries. Many countries don't have that term limit.
So the persistent question would be, Mr. President, when would you leave office?
When my party decides to have another candidate, because it is the party which put forward another candidate, or when I myself decide not to present myself. But the struggle which we have been engaged in for the last 45 years to bring up Uganda, but if possible also bring up Africa, is the one which guides our choices, whether I should participate or not.
But are you concerned, Mr. President, with some of the trends that have attended to similar examples where we have limitless terms? In Egypt, Mubarak was there for many years. Same to Ben Ali in Tunisia. Are you concerned that this sort of resentment can eventually catch up with President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda?
Well, I don't know the system in Egypt or in Tunisia. I don't know how competitive they were. Were they competitive systems? I don't know.
There are no term limits.
No, term limits is one, but there are no term limits in the UK. There are no term limits in France. I don't think they are. Are they there? There are no term limits in Israel. I don't know whether they are there in Germany. How many countries? Have you done the census to know how many countries have term limits or don't have? So therefore the crucial thing is the competitiveness in the political system. Was the system in Egypt competitive enough? I don't know. How about the one in Tunisia? So I cannot answer that. But as far as Uganda is concerned, the system is very competitive. There is no limit to how many parties. There is no limit to who can contest. If you lose, you really lose because people don't want you.
Just winding up now, Mr. President, and Uganda is the only country in the region, in East African community, without term limits. Does that make you feel like the odd one out?
No, that's our system. And when we form the East African Federation, we shall see how to harmonize. You work on the East African Federation, I will support. If the rest want term limits, then I will support them. But work on the federation through your radio. In addition to talking all these little things you keep talking about, talk about the East African Federation. Okay?
We thank you very, very much, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Presidential term limits, not for Uganda. Ugandan President for 25 years and counting, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for your time. And I am Linus Kaikai. Have a good night.